Welcome to Nurse Innovators Row, everyone. Last but not least at all, we are thrilled to introduce Jennifer and Anthony, the co-founders of Adni, the first all-in-one app for healthcare workers. Jennifer and Anthony have grown the marketplace within Adni's app to include over 10,000 products and resources, all while championing businesses founded by healthcare professionals. Adni has become the first nurse-led company to be backed by Y Combinator, offering a gamified experience that connects healthcare workers with jobs, resources, and rewards. Let's welcome them both. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. This has been so inspiring, by the way, to see all of the incredible nurse innovators, nurses out there solving really complex problems, building incredible solutions. And we are live. We're live on Instagram at Adni app. Hey, Adni fam. Spreading the word to the virtual land as well. When we decided kind of what we wanted to talk about as we thought about this little speaking event, we're gonna maybe sell Adni, talk about everything we do, but then we ultimately realized, I think the most powerful thing we could do is just tell our story and do a little fireside chat, go behind the scenes of all the trials and tribulations that went into building our company, which now serves over 100,000 healthcare workers, which we're really, really proud of. So yeah, we thought we'd just go back to the beginning and share a little behind the scenes of what it takes to start a business, because that is always the question people ask us, is how do you start? Yeah, so Jen, you wanna kick us off?
I'll kick us off. So we're gonna take you back way, way long ago, back in 2019, pre-COVID life. And Anthony and I went to a hackathon that happened back in New Jersey, sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. And we had the opportunity to work on the same team. And really gelled, and that was kind of the seedling for the first flagship product that we developed, which is a wearable light for healthcare workers to be able to, well, Anthony will showcase it right now. We really built that because we wanted to be able to see when we use both hands and we took care of patients. When we launched that, it did exceptionally well, and we were so blessed and excited to be able to have the support of the nursing community. We know what we found. We found that it was hard to find niche products like that unless you ran the right ad at the right time, you heard about it by word of mouth. But as the largest workforce in the country, shouldn't there be an easier way to access your gear, your resources, find out about products like this? There should be. And so we went ahead and did something about that.
Yeah, and funny story, when we actually launched the product, the first version was very MVP, a minimal viable product. People always think that it takes so much resources to start your first product, but literally we went online, we were buying products off Amazon, we were looking on Google for bike lights, dog walking lights, anything to just come close to our idea. And then we leveraged that as a kind of starting point for us to launch our product, which was the Lumify light. Another funny story with our launch, gotta be scrappy. Once we had that MVP, we were like, you know what, we have literally no money to put into this product, so why don't we launch pre-orders? So we launched a website and we said, we're gonna launch pre-orders. And we started messaging all of these press writers, all of these reporters in the Philadelphia community and the California community. And we said, hey, we're nurses, we just created this product, can you help us spread the word? And to our good fortune, we were picked up by the New York Times. And the New York Times ended up covering us for our pre-order launch, which was so crazy. And it really wouldn't have happened unless we just went out there and started cold messaging people. So don't be afraid to reach out and share what you're building with people, because it is vulnerable to go out there and tell people what you're building, but ultimately that's kind of what you have to do to get started. And then came the Lumify Hub.
And then came the Lumify Hub. And so what we found when we launched this product, very minimal viable product, to what Anthony said, right? We started out really small and scrappy, and we had this big vision of we wanted to pull everything together in the healthcare community for nurses and the products and resources they use. But where do you start, right? We don't have a coding background. We wish we did. That would make things really nice, but we don't. And so how do you do it? So we use no-code tools to be able to have a really scrappy website. We reached out to a bunch of different brands and resources to be able to kind of aggregate discounts and access points. So at least everything was together in one space. and it was super scrappy. And we celebrated very big with this small little website. We had balloons, we bought streamers, and we were going to celebrate it. And that was really the launching point for the bigger vision that we have today. But all that to say, you don't have to have a background in tech as far as knowing how to code. And you don't have to have an engineer at the very beginning just to go ahead and validate your idea. You can do that independently, and there's resources and tools out there, which is what we did. And I think if there's any advice we could give you is lean into those resources. Because as nurses, we are super good at finding out answers and using our resources. We don't know everything, but we know how to get it done, and we know how to find out who to ask to make it happen. And I think that's what we leaned into so much. And you'd be surprised, to Anthony's point, like ask people questions, because so many people were willing to help and kind of fill in the gaps as far as knowledge and what we didn't know, and leaning into those tools and resources.
So when we launched the Lumify Hub, which was really the idea of how can we create a centralized place for nurses to access products, resources, services, career opportunities, we launched with a no-code website. We used Webflow, Shopify, a whole hodgepodge of things. And we were super fortunate to get 10,000 nurses to sign up for our platform. And that was some validation that we could kind of bring out into the investor community to really pitch our company and pitch that we really wanted to build a all-in-one app for the healthcare community. So we were able to raise $1.5 million in seed funding from Silicon Valley investors, which, by the way, was not easy. I think sometimes you hear these stories of like, oh, we've raised, and you hear all these success stories online, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into it behind the scenes. As we were talking to investors, we heard more times than not, but you're just a nurse. Like, how are you guys gonna build this tech company? And I was like, yeah, exactly. We are nurses, and that's exactly how we're gonna do it, because we know our users better than anyone because we are them. But ultimately, with that funding, we were able to hire an engineering team full-time to come on. We recruited an awesome technical co-founder to join us. We were able to actually take what we had learned in that minimal viable product and really put it into building our first app, which is what ultimately became Adni. So we launched Adni's app about a year ago, and really it was the Lumify Hub on steroids. It was one place where nurses can buy their gear, find jobs, access community resources, access a resource hub of hundreds of different services and communities out there to support healthcare workers, really just creating a single access point for all of those tools and resources. And the past year, kind of bringing that app to market has been such a roller coaster. Lots of tech bugs, lots of learning, lots of trial and error. And I think every day we learn something new. Like it's always going in, trying things, going out there on content, going out on social media, sharing the story, sharing the product, and just kind of being fearless in like failure and learning as we go.
And to Anthony's point, like you typically never end up where you start. And it's all about pivoting and listening to your users and listening to feedback and understanding how people are using your product and what parts of it they really resonate with, what parts can make you money, and just trying to go ahead and build to that. And I think that over the course of this last year, we've seen a lot of growth with not only the clinician side of what we're doing and being able to bring resources and products and job opportunities to them, but also on the enterprise side with staffing agencies and nursing communities and hospital systems, really looking for a new, innovative, fresh, modern way to gamify the recruitment and reward and retention sort of aspect of what they do for their clinicians in a way that these legacy programs that they have been underutilized or haven't been really resonating with the newer generation of nurses that they've seen come through.
So with that, what's next for Adni? We are, really just focused on continuing to build the most ultimate all-in-one app for healthcare workers, having the best job opportunities, having the best products and resources. And one thing we're particularly proud of is that over 50% of the businesses that we feature in Adni are actually businesses founded by healthcare workers. And that kind of happened organically. We definitely have a bias towards wanting to support other healthcare workers who are starting their own businesses. But I think those are the best businesses. And when we're vetting different products and resources, ultimately we find that those are the ones that are the best because they're founded by healthcare workers who get it. So I think to end there, we just want to say thank you to the nursing community for supporting our journey. It's been so much trial and error, so many failures along the way, and we've just kind of never given up and stayed super gritty. And I think that is really the ultimate key that we all have to do, is just keep moving forward. We're all in this together. And thank you to everyone who's supported us.
Yes. One last thing, if you know of anybody, and besides all of you amazing people, which we will tap on the shoulder to kind of pull you into the flow, but if you know of anybody else who has have a business and would like to have their products or resources showcased on Adni, we'd love to be able to chat with you to kind of pull you into our ecosystem and show you off to the healthcare workers that are in our community, because it's all about kind of having that circle of support, and it's to everybody's benefit. So thanks so much for being here and listening to us. We're so excited to see all of you and be here with the inaugural Nurse Innovator Row, and we are so excited for this to be an even bigger space next year and be able to kind of celebrate even more fantastic nurses doing incredible things.
Oh yes, question.
So I think it's absolutely phenomenal that you were the first nurse-led team to be backed by Y Combinator. And just a question about that. First of all, like, how did you hear about that opportunity? Because I think that's one of the things we've been hearing, that these great opportunities exist, but sometimes nurse entrepreneurs don't know about them. And then can you share what that experience was like?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Y Combinator is a tech startup accelerator based in Silicon Valley. Typically, they back very engineering focused teams. I think for that reason, we kind of applied on a whim. Yeah.
Oddly enough, we had our interview day for Y Combinator on International Day of the Nurses. So it wasn't planned. I think it was just serendipitous of this is your destiny.
But to answer your question, it was actually on LinkedIn. We were doing outreach, and I actually found a nurse that had done Y Combinator. His co-founder wasn't a nurse, but he was a part of the founding team. And I just LinkedIn messaged him, and I was like, hey, we're nurses building a startup. Could you tell us about your experience? And I think it kind of goes back to that core lesson of just reaching out. I think nurses especially are so willing to support one another. And it really was through that first message we sent that we were like, oh wow, we can apply. And he ended up recommending us. And then Adni, or Lumify at the time, which what we were previously called, became the first company that was fully led by nurses. We didn't get into YC with an engineer, which was pretty wild, but I think we'd shown that nurses are resourceful and we could build our first product without an engineer and kind of continue to validate the market to then eventually get one. But it was a great experience. They gave you some funding, they gave us exposure to Silicon Valley investors, they gave us mentors, and I think that was really helpful to prepare us for kind of the next phase of the business, which was fundraising and kind of learning the ins and outs of the startup community, which I don't think we really had a background or experience doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because as far as resources and knowing what to do and how to grow your business, there's a bunch of resources out there online. YC Startup School was amazing. They have tons of different videos and what have you for you to go through and learn basically anything that you need to know about what to do in this aspect of your business, and give you kind of jump start on who to reach out to and how to deal with X, Y, and Z. So, and YouTube, it's great. And it sounds silly, but there's so much information out there, and just being able to utilize it. But those are some of the ways that we access some of these resources, is just looking for them and reaching out to people.
So thank you all so much. I know everyone's feet are so tired right now. So thank you for listening. And thank you for listening.
That was fantastic, you guys. That was